what I would do as your national president.
Thank you so much. Ichoro, you have an opportunity for 1 minute to respond to any of the issues that Dr. Musuwa has raised.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'll keep this to maybe 30 seconds or less. Two things. Number one, I was talking about lying. Again, thou shalt not lie. I was not the coordinator of the 2018 convention. It was Mr. Akpan-iquot, the national vice president at the time. Number two, he just said he's not calling me a thief, but he said the friend of a thief is a thief. So he has called me a thief, and I am not a thief. That's like saying, for example, the friend of a liar is a liar, right? So we have to be very careful. Just because someone has a friend that may act a certain way doesn't mean that person is a certain way. I know many people, not just within Akisan, also without. Are all of them perfect? No. Am I perfect? No. So we have to be very careful with all these labels and dog whistles. I know between the two other candidates, they're trying to come up with dog whistles that will appeal to people who may not necessarily do their own due diligence to find out the stories from the other side. I understand where that is coming from, but I'm here to discuss the issues. No matter what you do, I will not back down. If you lie, I will call you out on it. And please, I've known you, Dr. Mboso, for at least 10 years. I called you when I ran in 2018, and I told you that we're friends. We should remain friends regardless of who wins. And I intend to keep that promise. So please, let's stick to the issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I have to ask the fourth question, but please, before I do that, let me appeal to all of the candidates. Whatever we do now should be for the interest of Akisan, and it should be things that add value for the association. Anything personal, please keep it out until after the debate. Thank you so much. The next question will go to Chicago. The next person will be Dallas, then Atlanta. It has two parts, so please listen attentively. The first part is, what are the key structural and administrative changes you will implement to address the inefficiencies within Akisan? And what do you think are the impediments to achieving these changes? Section B, what specific organizational changes do you intend to make in Akisan to render it more transparent and accountable to its members?
I go first?
Yes, Chicago first, please.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good question. It has to do with integrity, financial management, and things of that sort. I think that transparency, for example, one of the things that I have proposed to bestly underscore your question is the fact that in Chicago right now, I am not a signatory to the account. And now for a president, national president for that matter, to be able to steal the money, they would have to be in close proximity to the money in terms of being a signatory to it. So I think I would bring that to the national, just like the president of the United States does not sign checks for the expenses of the country. So if you separate the president from that money, you can be closer to a transparent process. And the other thing too is we have to put a structure in place. For example, if the president is not allowed to touch any money, so all the corruption happens when we get home. So after the convention, the president goes to visit home with the governor and monies exchange hands and we can account for it. So that has to stop. So I think I've proposed that we have a board representative, a regular president of a chapter, and the president, one of the council, maybe a treasurer, to receive the money. And a third thing, we want to make sure that we register our association formally in Akwa Ibom. We do not have a formal organization in Akwa Ibom. As such, we really don't have a formal bank account. So there's no bank, there's no trail. So for the 32 years, we've had presidents opening personal accounts. So when a new president comes in, he goes back home, opens a brand new account in his or her name to do transactions. So that has to stop. So we have to change that. And we also have the constitutional side of things, the structures that needs to go into place there. And we also have to put very strong penalties for bridging this trust in terms of money. So in terms of ethical behaviors when it comes to handling money, we should have zero tolerance. I think we ought to actually get it such that, and this would be a tool, if we make sure that the president if anyone does anything that is we cannot account for, we should be able to pick that up. We should have a robust system such that we can catch that within 1 month. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, same question to Dr. Mbusowo from Dallas.
Thank you, sir. I have said that to the gentleman from Atlanta that we don't really have, and the structural issue that we have is very minute. We have a stealing problem. That's basically what we have. So we need more oversight on individuals that come in as a national president. For example, where I will bring in the structure that I have suggested is to take the executive branch and take the executive branch out of the National Council so that the National Council now becomes more like the chapter president's council that may have a stronger oversight on the national executive, because today, as it is, they are one-on-one. So that's the only place that I will really look at if there's going to be any structural change in that area. But on the other hand, I will also make sure that all the different organs of the body, for example, the BOT is charged with the responsibility of being the custodian of the people's money and the people's property. So the BOT have to do their work of providing that oversight to ensure that the money is not missing. If it is missing, for example, the $74,000 deficit in 2018 convention, the BOT has not given the people the report about where this money went and how the deficit was cured. So in that aspect, the BOT has to do their job. Secondly, I will also ensure, because we already have this structure in place, the auditors. When was the last time we got auditors report? The last auditor that attempted to do a report was Mr. Charles II from Northern Illinois chapter. Frustrated because he couldn't get access to receipts. So we have to ensure that the convention, ensure that at the end, make sure that the receipts get to the hands of the auditors to do their job. And thirdly, the convention, which is the supreme authority of the organization, will make sure that every person that has stolen is highly punishable to the full extent of the law, whether pass a vote of no confidence. So all these different organs that we already have in place have to do their job. That's basically the minor change that I will do to the structure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Same question to Mr. Akpan-iquot from Atlanta.
Thank you very much. So in addition to most of what my other opponents have said, which I happen to agree with, I wanted to disagree a little bit with Dr. Mbusowo. When you keep on saying stealing, so that's like we have a tree with wilting branches. And each time we cut off the branches and wonder why the tree itself is not surviving. The problem might be in the root of the tree. That is why I keep on saying structure. Is stealing a problem? Yes, but guess what? The way we handle our projects is a problem. The way sometimes we run our conventions is a problem. The way that we do not involve our youth is a problem. So my opinion is we uproot this tree, burn it, plant another tree, preferably in a different place, and you will see that this would take care of all the other problems combined if that tree itself is sound. So again, I will revisit the Constitution, especially in the area of finance. Council needs to have more oversight in the area of finance and discipline. Right now, presidents can run away with murder, and the council is pretty much strangled because they don't have the necessary powers to bring that person to justice. I also mentioned I was a president in Atlanta, just like my opponents are current presidents. We offer financial reports every month. So why is it that at the national level we do not do this? It is not right. We need to also do the same thing, even if it's not required by the Constitution, but to do this proactively, because where there is transparency, there is trust. I did mention that there is a lot of lack of distrust and unity in the association. 90% of our issues in meetings is about money. But again, to respectfully disagree with Dr. Mbusowo, it's the structure. We deal with the structure, it takes care of stealing, bad way of handling projects, bad ways of running conventions, bad ways of running our meetings, among a bunch of other problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In fairness to Dr. Mbusowo, we are going to allocate 1 minute for his rebuttal.
Thank you, sir. When I said stealing is because in this country, when something is not written down, that means it did not happen. And that's why I have a proposed software that is going to be able to help us manage our convention. As someone with IT background, we'll be able to have this software that is going to help us to track all our projects. For example, we award scholarships at all time, but we have never seen anybody come back to Akisan and say, thank you for giving me a scholarship to go to school. And we ask for that track record, there is none. So this software system that I've done a lot of research to allocate is going to help us to be able to track, manage our convention, manage our project, manage our donors, and also have it well documented at the end of the close of the convention. At the click of a button, guess what? We will have a credible report. And again, basically what we need also are trusted leaders, leaders with the fear of God that's going to be able to implement this thing and make it happen for this organization. Because we are dying and we are really struggling to survive as an organization because of all this mismanagement and stealing of the people's money. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. At this point, I'd like to turn over to Mr. Kwaibom for question number 5, and we will come back to the other candidate.
Thank you. So this next question is definitely near and dear to me as National Youth President. If elected president, how do you plan on involving Akisan youths in the running of the association during your administration? Again, if elected president, how do you plan on involving Akisan youths in the running of the association during your administration? The first person to answer this question will be Dr. Mbosuo.
Thank you, Mr. Kwaibom. I'm always a youth at heart. I appreciate that question. That question is a bonus to me. I love the youth. I can start from my chapter that we launched Akisan Youth, Akisan Dallas Youth and Young Adults. And the current Akisan Youth National President is from my chapter. We grew her to be able to grow that to all the way to the national. But what I would do by the grace of God when elected is, number one, to bring about a constitutional amendment that's going to create additional positions such as assistant secretary, assistant financial secretary, assistant treasurer, to bring our youth, because we have disenfranchised them for too long, to serve alongside with us and occupy these positions. One thing that we have done is like to create an organization and let them go do it. No, that is very, very wrong. We need to bring them to serve alongside with us. They need to have a voice. They need to have a seat at the table to be able to help in decision making, so that when we are moving forward and be able to pass the baton, they will know exactly what they're doing. We also need to appoint for them mentors that's going to be able to work with them, set up workshops. For example, I am an example of someone that found my wife at Akisan convention. So one of my main goals is for help the young people to work together to build stronger relationships, so that they'll be able to intermarry among themselves. Because right now they call us aunties and uncles, thinking that we are blood related, and I have been able to make sure that to communicate with our youth and young adults that we are not blood related. We can intermarry, we can build strong relationships among yourselves, and also to be able to help them coordinate the convention as well. Because I have them serving in my campaign mentally. So be able to just not side down our young people, bring them in to be able to serve alongside with us, so it will make it easier for us to pass that baton to them. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Next, we will have Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Yes, thank you very much. So I do happen to agree with what Dr. Mbosuo has said, but I just wanted to add that I've actually already done this, also being president of Atlanta chapter, also at the national level. So the latest example is in 2017 during the convention. I involved a lot of people between the ages of 18 and 35 in areas like the videography, the photography, the MCs. And you wouldn't believe the kind of kickback that I got, because they were saying things like, quote unquote, they will not know what to do. I told them that, quote unquote, if these are adults, by the way, but they kept calling them children. I said, if children make mistakes, let them make mistakes. This is a one time we have in a weekend to showcase our people. So fortunately for those of you who came for that convention, everything went on without a hitch. Also, about 3-4 months ago, I did have a meeting with the, I believe there's a new youth board right now, but the board at the time. And I told them what I was going to do. I'm the first candidate to come up with the idea of giving the youth relevance, first of all, by defining their age limit between 18 and 35, saying that they should have at least one vote at presidential elections and council meetings, and also to insert them into key areas of the organization: Constitution Committee, convention planning, projects, scholarships, what have you. Because if you don't have that experience, it seems right now everyone just stops at the youth level and then they quit. If you don't integrate them into the quote-unquote big leagues, how will they have that motivation to continue? I also found out that at the time, of course, the current Ms. Akisan, I believe you are the current now new youth president, congratulations. Both of you are event planners. So why not give you guys with that experience the opportunity to run the convention? Will people say, quote unquote, you are children? Sure, but I have trust in you, and I'm going to showcase you and your results to the world. So these are some of the few ways I intend to involve the youth into our programs. Again, my opinion is they're not motivated. I came here to this country when I was 19, and because I was not motivated, I was not involved. And those are some of the ways we can do to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, we will have Mr. Anamdo.
Thank you so much. I think the youth, bringing the youth in a very big way is very, very important because they are the future of the organization. What I would do specifically, because one thing I know with the youth, they come to Akisan and the meetings, the next thing they start talking about point of information and all this parliamentary things going on, and they just look at the adults and like, what is going on here? And they don't want to be involved. So what I think needs to really happen here is sometimes we underestimate our youth. I think we need to give them a big project because some of them do have real jobs that are professional jobs that handle projects. And if a company, multi-million-dollar companies will give them projects to manage, we can use them. And then to even add to that, let's give them an incentive of let's say, if you make this convention bring in $200,000, we'll give you an incentive of $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. Let's put a percentage on there. I think that would be a very brilliant thing. So get them involved in that big way. I think it's perfunctory to put them in all this different, to be able to vote and all whatnot. Okay, fine, let's do that too. But I think we need to go big with them because they're the future. They have the energy to do those things. Now, I want to chide Itoro on one thing here. Itoro, you had said that the legal counsel is pushing on trying to hold Udraobon accountable. I think that is false. You would have to be naive or you're part of the problem. Okay, to say that is false. There's no lawsuit. This is part and parcel of a massive thing, cover-up. Hence, you have these meetings that Itoro has been attending with Ubon to cover this thing up. So here's the thing. The idea is to slow walk this thing to a point where if we can manage Itoro in there, we can cover it up and kill the lawsuit period.
May I have a minute to rebut, please?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I do apologize. There's a thunderstorm rolling through Atlanta, and there's been a power outage from the beginning of this debate. So it's kind of getting dark, which is probably why you may not see my face. I'm using my phone right now, so the bandwidth might be poor, so I do apologize for that. What Mr. Namdu said, again, is a flat-out lie. If anyone doubts me, contact the legal counsel. Her information is on the website. The information I gave is current as of at least a month ago. The process is already in place. There's a third-party lawyer already handling the case. There's nothing Akisan can do, or any president, whether it's me, Dr. Mbusowo, or Mr. Namdu. There is nothing we can do in that regard. It's already in, and it would be an injustice for anyone to try to impede that process, not that they could. Let us focus again on the issues. We have issues involving our youth, issues involving our women, issues involving the way that we run our projects, giving council more oversight. These are the things we need to talk about, not all these side distractions specifically designed maybe to put me on the defensive and to distract me from what I want to do as your next national president. Thank you.
Please, can I say something?
Okay, gentlemen, with due respect, I just want to address this point again. Our intention was not to be adding 1 minute to every. These questions are very specific, and we all dealing with very highly respected, and very highly educated candidates here. Akisan people, they want to hear you answer the question and stick to the point. Please keep in mind that time is of essence. These questions are very specific. Address the question. We don't want people drifting, with due respect. Number 5, we're going to go to number 6 question. At this point, Dr. Mboso, you did ask if you want to use this 1 minute.
Please, just 1 minute. I just wanted to make it for the purpose of clarity and for the purpose of honesty. The last council meeting, the face-to-face council meeting that was held in LA, I asked the the current chairperson of the BOT to give the council an update on these legal issues with respect to how much it was going to cost if a lawsuit has been filed. His deal was that we were looking at between 8,000.
Along number 6 question. Why do you, as a candidate, why do you want to lead an organization? That's a key I'm talking about. That is, it's so plagued with by the history of financial improprieties, disrespect, name calling, gross inability to inspire members. That's part A. Part B, how do you intend to resolve this perennial catalog of embarrassing attributes to Akisan? We've noticed that, we've experienced that in council meetings, we've experienced that, and it is also very, very concerning to the youth as they watch us. So how do you intend to deal with this and to reassure the Akisan stakeholders? The first person is the gentleman from Chicago.
Thank you so much. Very important question again. I think it's as simple as this. The reason why I personally do this is the zeal for service. If there's anything, I mean, all this fight name calling, I think the akpan-iquot called me belonging to Vikings, it pales compared to people back in the villages of Akwa Ibom State. As Akisan has its main objective, at this point, the one objective that we've zeroed into is in healthcare. If there's anything that makes me wake up, if there's anything that gets me emotional, it's my son, 1. 2, is when I grew up in the villages of Akwa Ibom, in the village in Ikoro, Rubion, okay? I was there for 4 years. During that time, I saw what poverty was. I know that poverty did not end. It still continues till today. So if there's anything that gives me the energy, that zeal to wake up every morning and say, you know what, I take whatever comes, but provided we get to those people back in the village of Akwa Ibom, is that. So all this fighting going on here, incidentally, nothing good comes easy. We have to fight. I like to say it's ideology. So we have to fight. I think Itora and Boso, we all want to do the right thing. But again, we have different ways. But that's my own reason why I do this.
Mr. Namdo, could you, the second part was, how do you intend specifically to resolve these attributes, please?
How do you intend to resolve what?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You broke up a little bit.
Okay, my question, did you understand the first part of it?
Yeah.
Okay, the second part was, how do you intend to resolve with specific, how do you intend to resolve this issue? Name calling, and for example, the youth are so disconcerting, and not only the youth, the adults. We've experienced this. So my thing was, the thing is, how do you intend to resolve this specifically?
Well, it's called adulthood. Okay, anything we want to achieve in life, it's going to take pulling and pushing, and we have to train our kids. We can't pamper our kids. I mean, if the kids don't see, and now I don't want it to get into a violent level, but if we arguing and going back and forth, that's what we see here. If the kids goes outside, they train for it. To be honest with you, I'm not worried about that. I think the goal of the association, where we headed, the people that we're trying to help, they're suffering more than all this name calling. It doesn't make a difference, you see. So that is where I would go. And real quick, just to conclude this, I think that I am the only candidate with the passion to get this accomplished in terms of making sure that we do not fight, and then we will make sure that Akwa Ibom State Association delivers to the people and the villages of Akwa Ibom State.
All right, okay, thank you. The same question goes to the gentleman from Dallas, Dr. Mboso.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Why do I want to lead? I am very passionate about people. I speak from experience. I speak from example. I led in Nashville. By the grace of God, when I transitioned my family to Dallas, almost 10 years now, by God's grace, we rebuilt Dallas, and I lead by example. People that ran away from Dallas when Dallas, after the 2005 convention, Dallas fell apart, all of that, we came because I believe in one thing. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together in unity. And where there is unity, God commands his blessing. So in Akisan, where there's a lot of fight, we need unity. We need the coming together to refocus ourselves for the purpose of posterity, because part of our objectives is the preservation of our culture and language and be able to pass such to the next generation. So if we don't refocus ourselves and reunite, we can see how Akisan is going to slide out of our hands and slide out of us, and we lose our youth and young adults. This is for them, and this is about the youth and young adults. I have young children. I want them to be able to enjoy Akisan as I have been enjoying Akisan for this many years. And how will I stop the fighting? Respect. I have never been in shouting at anybody in my meeting, whether or here in Dallas. I have always led because I expect that respect is reciprocal. You respect somebody else, you speak with respect. You respect somebody's opinion, whether your opinion is accepted or not. You yield to the other person. So that respect is key. Until we start to learn to respect each other, that's what's going to happen. You go to council meeting, people are always shouting and yelling at each other. So we need to put back that respect and respect one another. Thank you.
All right. On over to the gentleman from Atlanta.
Thank you very much. Again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but there is no power in Atlanta right now, so I've turned off my video. I do apologize for that. I'm doing this for two main reasons. Number one is my children. Number two, because I believe that despite the issues that we have, that these issues can be resolved. So I often say in meetings that I attend, my children, whenever I attend any Akwa-Ibom event, want to come with me. It doesn't matter how long it lasts or how far away it is. They want to come with me because they like what they see. And the way things are going...
Okay, hold on a second, Mr. Chairman. There seems to be a feedback on could you...
I fixed it. There's two speakers for one person, and the sound was bouncing back and forth. So I fixed it.
All right. Is that okay?
Time was paused, by the way.
Okay. Okay. Could you reset that for him? Okay. Go ahead and reset.
Why are we resetting the time if we've heard? I mean, he's taken part of the time zone.
I'm not done.
Come on.
If I could
come on. I mean, it's a lot of bias going on here. Come on.
Clarify, Chief Inem, please allow me to clarify.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. Once Chief Inem interrupted Mr. Itoro, I paused his time. So he has 1 minute and 28 seconds left. So we are not restarting anything. We're just allowing him to continue. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Right, thank you. So again, like I was saying, I'm doing this for my children. Like I often tell people, I want at least 2 of my children to eventually run as presidents of this organization. But if there's no organization for them to go to, then that will not happen. Also, I also mentioned, because I believe that despite these many problems, we can do better. I proved it when I was the coordinator of the convention in Atlanta. Because of the work that we did there, we raised record sums of money, both online and in person. I was hoping to set a baseline for future conventions. Unfortunately, that did not happen. All the same, I believe in the association this much, that despite our many problems, we can and we will be better. So that is why I am doing this. Thank you.
Mr. Edo.
Are you there? Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Ania. Mr. Edo, are you there? Moving right along. Is he there?
Yes. Thank you. This is question number 7, and it will go as follows. Chicago will have the first shot at answering the question, followed by Dallas and Atlanta. Here's the question. Akisan is a 501c3 organization and has a tremendous opportunity to raise funds in the United States through corporations, foundations, philanthropic organizations, and individuals. We should not be dependent on donations from our state government. Akisan is in an advantaged position to be able to do that, to use the instrument of our association to raise funds. What strategies specific will you put in place to make that happen?
First one, I would institute a grant writing contest. I will get the youth involved, which is something I had mentioned early on. I would make it bigger to anyone, but we will give people incentive to write grants. So let's give people a percentage, 10%, 15% percentage for bringing any amount of money. Let's do piggy banking, get people to stand on the street like the fire department do and raise money for Akwa Ibom State Association. Let's tax our members. That's how, and incidentally, this is an important question because our objective and things we want to do requires money. So the number one goal of the president should be to raise money so we can actualize whatever it is we set forth. All these things that we are saying we're going to do will not work without money. And so you need someone who understands that. And that's what I would do if I'm the president. I've done that in my chapter, going from almost zero to thousands of dollars when I left. And I bring the same mentality to the national. Now, I want to go back again because this has to do with integrity and ethics. So akpan-iquot, I said something about this legal counsel saying, I want to let all of you out there understand that the legal counsel, this current legal counsel would have been the worst legal counsel Akisan would have had. Okay, the legal counsel was supposed to sue. As a matter of fact, she got up after the counsel said we should sue Itukat and argued passionately about not suing Itukat. On top of it now, we understand she's in Itukat's campaign, akpan-iquot's campaign. And she's busy fighting to divide the chapter in Arizona instead of busy suing Uraruba. You see, and so that's why when I become the president, she's going to be one of those people I fire on day one. We do not need that type of incompetence. I mean, I'm sure she's a nice person and she's got a good practice, good for her, but she's not good for Akisan, and that's why I will fire her on day one because of the fact that she's left the goalpost open for Itukat to get away. $33,000, and we cannot account for it. And a legal counsel is nowhere to be found. Instead of that, fighting a local fight in Arizona, trying to start a brand new chapter. That is absurd.
President Anamdo, your time is up.
May I have the right to rebut? I believe
Yes.
my name was mentioned.
Yes, please.
Okay, so number one, the legal counsel, Mrs. Lily Asian, is not, I repeat, is not on my campaign team. Number two, you cannot fire the legal counsel. She was elected by the convention.
Yes,
so
I
you'd
would.
have to take her
Yes,
case.
I would fire
You'd
him.
have to,
Excuse me,
you're taken
Mr.
away from my time.
Namdo,
You're
would
not
you-
allowed to rebut.
I muted him. I already muted him. Continue,
Okay.
Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that. So, yes, you cannot fire the legal counsel. She was elected by the convention. You'd have to take her case to the convention, argue that case there, and then whatever happens, happens, because the convention is the highest lawmaking body of the association. This goes back to an intricate knowledge of our constitution for whoever wants to be president. So now that's my 1 minute. I'd like to answer the question. I believe, was I next? Sorry.
No, you are not next.
Okay, I'll yield my time until then.
Yes, we are going to Dallas. Dr. Muslim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. What I would do about Akisan being a 501c3 organization, sometimes it's very sad indeed, because organization that was founded in 1967 as a student organization, and we look back, we don't really have anything to show for. So being able to write grants, for example, because you have to have a track record to show what you have done and what you're going to do. I remember one of the past administration in Akisan attempted to write for grants, and that grant was denied because we don't really have a track record. We have done a feasibility project that would amount to us getting a grant. So what I would do, by God's grace, is to, like I said, empower the chapters. So partner with chapters. Like example, Dallas, charity begins from home. We have projects that we can use, like when we adopted the Scottish Rite Hospital in downtown Dallas, that when you go there, you see Akisan dollars on the donors wall. So we take the project that we have. I will also partner with the chapter that I came from, Nashville, that have a standing adopt a school project. So we collectively take projects from different chapters that have been successful in touching lives and put it together and then write a grant, because all they need to see is a track record that shows that you have handled a certain amount of money, you have distributed successfully a certain amount of projects to be able to get the money. Another thing also, I will appeal to the general audience, to the American people, set up GoFundMe accounts, and also write solicitation letter. Again, it has to do with our reputation, for us to have something to be able to show for, to appeal for that point. So that's one of my main strategies that I will do. And work with the different chapters that have successfully executed projects and put those projects together as a package and approach corporations for funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So I do agree with my opponents in the area of grant writing, but let's face it, we may never get those grants because our financial books are not in order. And that goes back to structure. When we restructure the organizations, restructure the way we handle our finances, eventually we'll be able to get to a place and time when we'll be able to apply for grants and hopefully get them. So now that leads us to other ways, like I said, innovative ways of getting donations. Constitution says we can get them from bequests. In other words, people can die and donate their money to the association. We're allowed to be involved in legal investments. So believe it or not, we're a nonprofit, but we can invest in the stock market. I'm not saying we should, I'm just saying that's an idea. Also, during the convention in Atlanta, I hate to bring it up all the time, but that is my most recent experience in the association. There are many organizations that are begging to give nonprofits money with no strings attached. I applied to all those companies who have headquarters in Atlanta. The issue was we could not find our tax certificate, and without the certificate, we could not proceed. We can also go directly to the people. I mentioned my project in Uyo, an IT camp, where people are already lining up to donate money to this effort. It's their money. It will not cost Akisan a dime. I just ask that Akisan get the credit for that project. So they're lining up to donate. We don't have to always have a convention, for example, to come up with money. There are so many ways to raise funds. We need someone who doesn't stick with what we've been doing for the past 30-something years, and I'm the best man to be able to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On that note, I'm going to turn over to the Ms. Udeme for question number 8.
Thank you so much. So the order of candidates to answer this next question will be Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago. To preface, it's very important to understand that Akisan is broken up into 4 parts. You have the National Secretariat, you have the Board of Trustees, you have the council members, and then you have the youth. It has been said a lot during this debate that the youth is important. People will utilize the youth. The youth need a chance to really shine so that Akisan can become greater and move to different heights, which I completely agree with. So this question is, are you open to Akisan youths as a body voting during council meetings and during general elections? I'll repeat. Are you, as a presidential candidate and possibly the next president, open to Akisan youths as a body voting during council meetings and general elections? So the first person to respond will be Dr. Mbosuo.
Thank you, Ms. Akwaimo. I know that in previous debates, we've talked about this. The gentleman from Atlanta brought up, suggested that, and I completely agree with him. In addition to me having youth appointed to amending the Constitution to have youth appointed to serve in various cabinets during my presidency, I will certainly allow for a constitutional amendment, ask for a constitutional amendment for the youth to have a vote. Because as a body, they should have, if they have a seat on the table, there's no reason why they should not be able to have a vote, whether during election and have a delegate, or whether during the general election, they should also be able to have a vote. So, no long story about it. During my administration, yes, and yes, the youth will have a vote.
Thank you very much. The next to answer will be Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Yes, thank you very much. So again, in my introduction, I think it spoke for itself. The first thing I mentioned was the youth. I came to this country when I was 19. As a matter of fact, the first meeting I attended, because of embarrassing situations that we witnessed most of today, I walked out of that meeting. I did not attend another meeting for 9 years. So, yes, it is very important that we carry the youth along. I firmly believe that the reason why we're not motivated to participate is because we do not have a say. It's like taxation without representation. So yes, if we at least start with one vote, maybe more, but at least one, presidential elections and council meetings, maybe in situations like this with debates, the youth can also organize their own debates, right? So yes, get them involved. I have no problems. Also, like Mr. Namduk said, I believe, which is true, we have so many youth that are professionals in their different areas. Why is it that they're accepted at work but not within the organization? We need to recognize that, bring them in, insert them into key areas, not just the youth committee or beauty pageant, constitutional amendments. We have lawyers, projects, convention planning. And trust me, when other people see their peers in those positions, they will be motivated to join. That is what got me back into Akisan Atlanta, and that has begun my journey ever since. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then last we have Mr. Anamdo. You'll have to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes and yes. The answer is the youth should be seated. Let's give them 2 slots each. It's as simple as that. I'm going to keep that very short and sweet. Nothing to be added to that, because the youth is the future. And so if we have to hand this thing over to them at some point, so we need them to know how it works, to keep it very simple. So I have some more time. So I wanna basically tell us what is going on here and where we are as an organization. Our organization has existed for 32 years, and for 32 years, in the past 1 week to 2 weeks, we've uncovered a whole host of things that has unfolded. A board of trustee chairman openly agreeing to be a member of a cult, but then he equivocates that it's not a cult, it's a fraternity. Now, I want him to tell that to a grandma who's coming back from church today, that there's a difference between a cult and a fraternity, or confraternity, whatever it is. Okay, I want us to think about this. If we allow a president, Itoro, who was on that call for 600 minutes, that has been meeting with corrupt former president, and the board of trustees who has openly agreed to being a member of a cult, why would you expect anything different? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? This association has been mortgaged. It's those calls are initiation calls, and I've asked them to release the transcripts of those calls. Let's hear what was going on those calls, because anything other than that, the association has a basement rulers, people in the basement of the organization running the show, and Itoro Akpan-iquot has been appointed. It's as simple as that.
May I have the right to rebut?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if Mr. Namdo realizes, but he's actually giving me more time to respond with all these 1 minute extra responses. Be that as it may, you are involved in what is called paltering. Paltering is the devious art of lying by telling the truth. You say 600 minutes of calls. I don't know if you realize that that is 10 hours. Who in America has time to sit through 10 straight hours of meetings, or if you want to cut it out into 1 hour at a time? Yes, we had a call. We had a call with Mr. Robin because of the way he was handling the issue of the $33,000. We helped him to support him to become president in 2016, and we owed it to him as friends to tell him to do whatever it takes to return that money, no matter what. We do not record calls. There is no point to. There are other people on the call. I believe you released a screenshot. Call those people and ask the same question. The people are upstanding people in our community. So again, you also mentioned in 32 years, it's actually 33 years, but most importantly, let us stick to the issues. Issues with corruption, the way we handle our projects, the way that we handle our youth, our women are being ignored. Let us stick to those. Not every single time you go back to these issues. The youth are watching. I was 19, like I said. I walked out of a meeting because of issues like this. Let us stick to the issues. We're all adults here. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. The next question here will go to Mr. Nietzsche Idopo.
Thank you so much. I believe this is the last question I'm going to ask. I just want to make a point that each of the candidates, you do not represent yourselves, but you represent your chapter. Because based on the bylaws and the constitution of Akisan, an individual cannot run for the highest office without being sponsored by their chapter. So whatever you do is a reflection of your entire chapter. The next question I have, which is my final question, is if elected president, how do you intend to restore effective communication and build a bridge among your chapter, the National Secretariat, the Board of Trustees, the council members, and the youth? Akpan-iquot, you have a shot at that question, followed by Chicago and then Dallas.
Thank you. So everything boils down to communication and engaging everybody regardless of where they're from or what they think about the issues. When I was president of Akisan Atlanta, we had an issue with dwindling membership. And what I did was I went to all the, what I call the tribal groups within the association. We had 10 of them at the time. I asked them what was their problems. What would it take for you to come back? They let me know. We had this project called Akpan-iquot House. I told them, if you trust me with this money, that I will put 100% of that money into the project, and that is what I did. I was transparent about the process. They saw what I did, and the next fundraising, they even gave more money. Now, fortunately, I've known a lot of these people, including my opponents, for at least 10 years. I have formed wonderful relationships with them. So that is the same relationship building that I want to bring with me to the national. I want to set the tone from the beginning. Talk to everybody, members of tribal organizations, secretariat, the chapter. Now, on the issue of representing my chapter, that is true. It's not the individual that seeks the presidency, it's the chapter. I challenge you, pick up the phone, call people in Atlanta, call people in Dallas, call people in Chicago. Challenge them on each of us who are running. What have we done for our chapters? What have we done for the national? And I'm more than convinced that when you do that, you come to the same conclusion that Atlanta chapter is the best chapter and most positioned chapter to take on the leadership of Akisan USA moving forward. Thank you.
Okay. Chicago, you're next.
Thank you so much. Good question. Communication is a tool, but what we need, that's not necessarily the problem. See, we've been communicating for 33 years. And you could say the tone, you want to tone it down, tone it up. However, all people are looking for at this point is results. We haven't registered results. And we're still talking perfunctory communication. Okay, let's rub you the right way. Let's use the right tone. While all this is going on, I haven't heard a question about people in the villages of Akwa State, which I am passionately, I think we do not have anything to say we would have accomplished if we cannot, even for a whole cause of a debate, we don't talk about the people. We all came from the villages and we've forgotten about it. You see, and that is sad. It is heartbreaking that we do things like that. And so we're now talking about all these other things. So personally, communication is not a problem. It's just that we need results. We need results. We're tired of talking. You see, we need results to show, we need deliverables. Okay, what do we have to show that we would have done when you and I become 80, 100 years old? What can we say we've done? At this point, it's very foggy. I don't know if we're going to make it. You see, so that is how I look at it. And I hope that you people at home can sense this, that we can do a whole lot better. Akisan has a lot of potentials, but it's been led by the wrong people. People that have been stealing money, and we haven't done anything. And it's time that we stop that. We have to hold people accountable, and we have to make sure that when we see people lying, when they say stuff, let's go through all this stuff, and we will find out the truth. But we have to think of it on our own, and then just, I think my time is over.
It is.
Thank you so much. Dr. Musu from Dallas, please, same question.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe that a national president is a representation of his or her chapter, and that is the gospel truth. You cannot run for Akisan National President without being nominated by your chapter, and by God's grace, I was overwhelmingly nominated by my chapter. With that said, I strongly believe that the way to keep in touch or to keep the body, the different organs of the body functioning is the proper communication. Based, so you may not know my background. When I have people in my session, when communication dies, I call it the big C. Relationship is dead. And by God's grace, how under my leadership we rebuild Dallas. I visited Mr. Native can bear me witness. I visited all the different organizations in Dallas preaching unity because I believe in the word of God that says, behold, how good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together in unity. Where there's unity, God commands his blessing. And that's how we rebuild Dallas. So I will still, when I become national president, I'll still be accountable to my local chapter. I'll still be attending meetings and also coordinating with them. With other chapters, once a month or maybe twice a month, I call it each chapter to see how they're doing, to keep that communication going. Same thing with the DOT, same thing with the council. I work in collaboration with each person because once communication is dead, relationship is dead. So that's basically all these dysfunctional ways. If we're not in the knowing of what is going on, that's when the stealing is going to be happening. I will be sure to be engaged in all the different organs, whether it be DOT, what do you call it, the youth, very, very much so, to stay engaged with them as well. So communication is extremely important to make this organ to function very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. On that note, I'm going to turn over to Chief Weminam for the final question.
Well, thank you, Mr. Okwa, and I want to thank you to the listeners. Before I ask this last question, number 10, I just want to ask to make sure each candidate has had a chance to look into the manifestos of other candidates. The reason I'm asking this is that if you haven't had a chance to see each other's manifesto or their background, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. My question is, name one thing from the other candidates' manifesto that you will incorporate into your administration if elected. Part B, if elected as the next president of Akisan, what would you do to work with your opponents? Excuse me to use that word opponent because today it kind of seems like the three bosses are doing it out. What would you do to work with them to build Akisan to a better, inclusive, vibrant, responsive, transparent, honest organization for the betterment of today and tomorrow?
Who goes first?
Chicago.
Yes, the Chicago would go first, please.
All right, thank you so much. Itoro Akpan-iquot's manifesto, I looked at it. I admire the fact that he accomplished a project. The house, the Akisan Atlanta house. I've been at that house. I think that's admirable. What I would do if becoming the president today is I would ask Itoro Akpan-iquot and Dr. Mbosowo to give me one project, and I will add it to what I would be doing. And so, and for example, I would like to use Itoro to. I intend to get a house, Akisan house, a physical building in Akwa Ibom State, so we can do business there. I would like to put him in charge of that, to actualize that, being that he's done that in Atlanta before. I would do that. And then on Mbosowo's side, I would make sure that Mbosowo, I would put him in charge of integrity. Because I think I sense from his campaign that it seems like I haven't heard anything that has to do with integrity or that is questioning that. So that tells me something is going on there. So I would put him in charge of that. So maybe we'll come up with some type of software, or maybe a constitutional amendment processes that will check, make sure that we don't have any improprieties within Akisan. So those are the things that I would do. But again, I don't know how much time I have. For this to work, we have to look at personal integrity. I mean, personal integrity is very important. And that's why I take an issue with people having secret meetings. And if you have a secret meeting, I don't care how nice or good of a person you are, it just doesn't look good. And I just don't see how you can give confidence to new members, potential new members or grandmas to be part of that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over to the gentleman from Dallas Metro Chapter.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'll start with the gentleman from Atlanta. One thing I would take from his manifesto, the fact that because he was the first person I heard it from, the fact to give children, the youth and young adults, a seat to be able to have a vote, basically. Because what I have proposed over the years is to be able to amend the Constitution to create additional positions so that we can appoint the youth and young adults to serve in those areas. So that is one thing I would certainly take out of this manifesto and implement, because we need our youth and young adults to serve alongside with us. I'm very passionate about them because of my young children. And number two, from Mr. Nandu, he's very passionate about health and telemedicine. So definitely that is some area I would look into expanding when we get a hospital built to be able to give us the leverage, the base for the medical mission that we have been conducting, and see how we can improve technology-wise to be able to provide telemedicine if it is possible. Because there are people, technically speaking, there are people who are really dying and they need help from us as an organization, as an established organization. Our people are dying every day because they cannot afford healthcare at home. Take an elderly person, any sick person to the doctor's office, the first thing they ask you is money. That is how much we value people's lives. We value the money first before we even think about treating them. So that is something I am also very passionate about. Healthcare for the people at home, because they need our help, and we can be in that position by God's grace to be able to provide that health care. Thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman from Atlanta chapter, Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So I just wanted, for the purpose of record keeping, to commend Mr. Namdo and Dr. Mbosogo that despite all the false allegations leveled against me, that they found at least one thing each that is good about me. So that speaks volumes, and I really do appreciate that. With respect to Dr. Mbosogo, the one aspect of his manifesto I would like to carry along with me is his financial software. It's high time that we stop using Excel spreadsheets and go to something more professional. So I would contact him and let him educate me on how this thing works, and then use that to promote it to the council. With respect to Mr. Namdu, again, quote unquote, fortunately, we're in a COVID-19 situation, which means we've not been able to travel for a long time. Medical mission is something that is necessary within the organization, and so we need to take advantage of telemedicine. Again, I'm not an expert in the health field. I will contact him, I'm assuming he's done that before, and let him educate me on how this thing works so that we can also implement that. Now, on day one, the first two people I'm going to call when I become your president are Dr. Mbosogo in no particular order and Mr. Namdu. I told you in the beginning that I want to engage everybody. I will carry everyone along despite all the mudslinging. It's not about me, it's about Akisan. So I will call them first. If it means, I know Mr. Namdu even said one time he was going to insert himself into my administration. I have no problems with that. I welcome the diversity of opinion, the diversity of thought. I take nothing personal, and everything for me is strictly business. So those are the answers to those questions from my part.
Thank you, gentlemen. We've come to the end of the question and answers. And I'm going to turn over to a young, resourceful lady to handle the closing remarks. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. It was a very invigorating debate. Thank you so much to the candidates for the past 2 hours. We're going to move to the closing remarks. The first for closing remarks will be Dr. Mbosuo. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you so very much, the moderators, Ms. Akwaibom, and the Akwaibom audience. Thank you, Doro. Thank you, Fon, for the privilege to be able to discuss issues that pertain to our organization. I give you my word that if I'm elected president, we will see a big change in this organization because I'm all about change. I'm all about honesty. I'm all about integrity. You can research about me. You can call Nashville. You can call Dallas and speak to our members of my background, what I've done, what I've been able to accomplish under my leadership. So whoever wins, I'm always willing to work with that person. That's one of the reasons why they keep on spreading negative stories about, because when I lost to Margaret, when Margaret called upon me to bring about help her in fundraising, I chaired the fundraising committee, and I brought 6 people to the high table that donated thousands of dollars to this organization. So it's not about Mosowo, it's not about me. It's about the organization, it's about our children, it's about all of us. So whether it's Total wins or Fund wins, I am ready and willing to work with anybody because community service runs in me. As a man of God, as a servant of God, I am always ready to serve. All the things that we have proposed by God's grace, we will be able to do it. And once elected, you will see a difference and you'll see a change. So I thank you so very much for the opportunity to share my vision with everybody in the entire Akwaibom community here and abroad. God bless you. May the peace of God remain with everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we will have Mr. Akpan-iquot.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks to the organizers of this debate. Thanks to everyone who's been hanging on. Again, I do apologize for the no video. There's still a power outage here. I think we've heard enough and seen enough to help us determine who our next president should be. I think it's obvious that we need someone with the right temperament, someone who will stick to the issues, someone with integrity, someone with the right experience, the requisite constitutional knowledge, and the general welfare of the association at heart. I'm going to end by speaking as a parent and as a member of Akisan. The trajectory in which we're traveling, I pray does not happen, but the association may not exist maybe another 10, 20 years from now. I take this thing personal for the sake of my children. We need to start now to proactively come up with ways to make sure that this association thrives and is sustainable, if for nothing else, our children. I came here when I was 19, the same way I came as a young person. I want our children to grow into this association in order to carry it further. And that is why I am running. I also believe, like I said, that this association can be better. I've proven it before locally and nationally, and it will be better. Again, but we need to hire the person with the right frame set, experience, knowledge to take this organization forward. And I hope I've convinced you through everything that I've said today that I am the right choice for this job. Pick up the phone, call people in Atlanta, look at our manifestos, lay them side by side. You will come to the same conclusion. So thank you very much. God bless you all, and God bless Akisan USA.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then last but not least, we do have Mr. Anamdo.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to join you guys, the panelists. And I also want to thank the members of Akisan and those of you that are not members that perhaps have joined. I did invite my mother and people back home in Akwaibom to be part of this. So I brought them in because I want them to see what Akisan stands for, and I hope that somewhere in what we've said that that the people that have invited have some sense of where we are headed somewhere in there. And where I think we really ought to be headed is we should keep our eyes focused on the people in the villages of Akwaibom State. All these other things is useless if you do not reach the people in the villages of Akwaibom State. I have donated money. I have done what I could here to help bring that help to the people of Akwaibom State. And I think we should all join hands in the sense of Akisan. If you're not a member of Akisan, join it because we do have prospects. We're having a slow start, but I think we will get there with the right leadership, which I think I will be the leader, the type of leader that would lead Akisan in a strong way and be able to deal with all the infighting, but then be able to have those deliverables. Because that after 33 years, we want to be able to start showing things. We want to be able to have a leader who has he has demonstrated personal integrity in the past, not leaders who've been meetings saying one thing in meetings privately at night and then come to a debate and then tell you something else. Do not believe that. So if you're a delegate out there, I say to you, reevaluate that vote. You will not do Akisan any service if you go that route. These so-called speculations, or what I have said about the meetings, is true. So thank you so much, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chief Inem, if you wouldn't mind, I have a request. I know I'm speaking out of turn, but I wanted to try and ask for something if it's possible.
Sure. Ladies can have anything you want.
Okay, so because of the conversations that we've had for the past almost 2.5 hours, and the multiple times that the legal counsel and her words were brought up in this discussion, I would ask if we would allow her 2 minutes to speak on what has been said. No more than 2 minutes, no grace period, because this is a debate for the candidates. But a lot has been said in regards to the legal counsel and what she could or could not have said at some point. And I think that we owe her at least a little bit of time to explain some of the things that have been brought up.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Legal counsel, I think you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, yes, I am unmuted.
Before you begin,
yes.
You have 2 minutes, please.
Oh, I'll use less than that. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I hadn't planned to speak, but I needed to just clarify a few things. I'm not here to argue. I'll just clarify. So everybody knows. Back in 2019 at the convention, the House asked me to bring a suit against Udoabongbo. Someone at the convention got up and said that the money that came in wasn't reported. Therefore, if we begin a suit, the organization will have to open up all its books to the IRS, to the government, to the court. So I suggested that we find an amicable way to collect this money, because the money that belongs to the association belongs to the association, and not take it to court because we didn't report it coming in. Any money in increment over 100,000 must file a 990, and any foreign account must register the FBAR, or the association is in jeopardy of losing its 501c status. So that was my suggestion, and people saw to it. Eventually, we move on to November 2019. In November 2019, the BOT chair and I found an attorney out of DC, Conrad Bayel, the law office of Conrad Bayel. We hired that attorney to take on the case. He decided to take it on a contingency fee basis, which means that contingency fee means when we collect the money, I would take my cut, a percentage of what is collected. Eventually, he dropped the ball, and another attorney was hired, Joshua Joseph, I think is his name, out of DC as well. Now, in June, that attorney sent a demand letter to Udoabongbo to a demand letter is sent to someone to give him an opportunity to get an attorney to respond to it. That was in May. That letter, the national president was copied on it. I have a copy. Since it's a private matter, I'm bound by certain confidentiality. I can't share it, but the people that need to see it can see it. That letter was sent to Udoabongbo to comply with a pending lawsuit against him. Now, COVID has happened, and I know... I'm
going to give you about 30 more seconds so that you
can... And I know a lot of court are closed. The point is, this case is already going on. Nothing is being hidden. Nothing is being swept under the rug. I just wanted to update people with what is going on with it so that this whole allegation of hiding things comes to a rest. This case is being handled already. Once the outside counsel gets back to me, I'll report it back to the association accordingly. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Well, thank you, Madam Legal. Well, officially we've come to the But before that, I would like to recognize the audience calling from everywhere, the members of the Akisan, supporters. We are grateful for this day to be able to have an opportunity and a chance to hear the candidates. I just want to say one thing. Listening to all the responses from all the candidates, it all boiled down to we all want the best for Akisan. And we pray that that will happen. My thing that I want to say is that we cannot expect these candidates or the candidate that will be elected on the 22nd of this month to have solutions for all the challenges and problems. But we have to challenge ourselves to come together and join our hands on our heart and resources to help restore Akisan and uplift this organization to what it was meant to be. I challenge you guys to go to the website and see the vision and the mission of this organization, the objective and the goals we need to. However, in the words of late John F. Kennedy, I'm going to rephrase it. We should not dwell on what Akisan is doing for us or should do for us. But I think, listening to all these three fine gentlemen, they have passion, they have the drive, they have the desire. We should focus on what ideas, suggestions we can bring to Akisan and commit to working together with all branches of the Akisan leadership, be it the youth, the women, the council members who are the policymakers, the BOT, and the secretariat. We all stand together. We cannot be struggling and fighting for power or maybe our selfish interests. Enough is enough. And I just want to say this. We cannot expect them to come in. Please, thank you for having an open mind. But I just want to say one thing. We've seen this young lady, Ms. Udeme Kairi. I wanted to highlight what we have going for us, the pride of our youth, especially being a female. It's about time we know very well that even in our homes, without the wives or with the mothers, that home cannot move. It's about time to be inclusive, listen to our youth, just like this candidate says. This is our future leaders. I'm very proud of her. She has exhibited what we adults should emulate. So I want to thank her, first of all. Udema, I'm so proud of you. May God bless you and continue to shine the light upon you. I'm very proud of you. Then over to my body here, Mr. Nitiruokwa. I can't thank you enough. Remember when we started here in Dallas in 1980, 82? It's a pride to have you. So I'm going to give you guys 1 minute each to thank the audience and the candidates.
Thank you so much, Chief Moderator, and thank you for all of the candidates for the insight that you have brought to this discussion. Thank you to you all of the participants in this Zoom meeting. Again, I believe that we've done everything possible to be transparent and also exhibit the most professional attribute to conduct this debate. I believe that we were fair to all of the candidates because we wanted to make sure that the process was not compromised. So I wish all of you great luck in your campaign. I know that you probably have 2 more weeks. Any one of you will be a good president for Akisan. Again, thank you for your time.
Well, I'm going to let the final say to Udeme. Thank you. Go ahead. Take all you can in.
Thank you. I don't need much time. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity for being a part of this planning committee for the debate. I definitely need to give as much props as possible to Dr. Margaret Mary Usoro and Dr. Anthony Kaidi for raising me the way that I am. But there are so many people like my mother and father that have raised amazing youth, and they are sitting in this meeting right now. And some of them may not be on this meeting because they're working, because they're professionals. It's because of them that we will have a bright future, and Akisan will have a bright future. And that's that on that, honestly. I really appreciate the candidates. A lot of the things that you have said today and in other days when the Tampa chapter did welcome you all to speak to the lot of us, we learned a lot from you. And today I learned a lot from you all as well. So I want to thank you all for giving your opinions and truly standing up for what you believe is right, because if we are human, that's what we have to do. I do believe that any of you would be exemplary presidents of Akisan, because we are at the cusp of greatness, and we need somebody strong that will be able to push us over to our heights. So thank you all. God bless you all. I really do appreciate this time, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Okay, I'm gonna call and Pastor Emmanuel Essien again to close out with a short prayer. And before then, I want to thank the current national president, the council members, the board, and I cannot thank the general Akisan membership and the chapter presidents. And we do appreciate you joining in. And go out there and support your candidates and register to vote, not only for Akisan, for the upcoming election in November for this country. Exercise your right. And thank you, Akisan. Thank you, everybody. And over to you, Pastor Emmanuel Essien. Is he still there?
I don't think he is.
I saw Pastor Dr. AMB. Are you there?
I think he's no longer. Actually.
Oh well, let's pray, everybody.
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Father, one more time, I want to thank you for the privilege of having allowed us and this wonderful gentleman that you have given us as an Akisan community members with the heart to lead this organization. We see it as sacrifice on their part, and we thank you for them. Lord, we ask after all is said and done, again, that your will be done in the name of Jesus. We thank you for all that are here today, everyone that have been part of this outing, the moderators, the audience, and I ask that, Lord, you bless them, keep them in this time of difficulty. And most importantly, we pray for Akisan, that will grow from strength to strength, not by power, not by might, but by your spirit. In the name of Jesus, we thank you. All glory belongs to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everybody. And stay safe. And God bless you. And God bless Akisan. And God bless Akwa Ibom State of Nigeria.
Amen.
Bye.
Thank you.